I have been selling this book, Zan Azli and Wan Chun Hong's Guide to Indie Filmmaking, which is published by MPH for a while now. It's a really good book if you want to be a filmmaker, whether it's for YouTube, social media, TV, film, cinema, whatever. This is the book to get. I'm going to make it more accessible and more affordable to all of you because I believe that everybody needs to become a filmmaker. The more filmmakers we have in the world, I think this world will be a better place to live in. Now it's available as an electronic book download on my website. I'm going to link it here. It's really cheap, it's really affordable. It's only 5 ringgit if you want to get the ebook version. Okay, 5 ringgit. It doesn't really cost much, right? It's just a little bit of something for me. I mean, it did take a lot of work to write. Each chapter of this book talks about one part of the filmmaking process. And for each chapter as well, I interview a local filmmaker. It's only 5 ringgit. It's only 5 ringgit. You're watching and listening to the Fat Bidin Film Club. I'm assuming I'm Zan Azli.
And I'm Shelley Wasson.
And as usual, every week we watch a local movie.
And this week?
This week we're watching another local movie.
On the last day of its screening?
Yeah, because we rushed to watch this because apparently limited screening.
We're watching Spilt Gravy.
Yeah, see what the hype is all about lah. Okay, so
We watched
Spilt
Gravy.
We watched Spilt Gravy. Kemana tumpahnya kuah
So we're here to
kalau
spill
tidak
the
ke
tea
nasi.
about
So,
the gravy.
Yeah, it's directed by Zahim Al-Bakri.
Yes.
Written, of course.
Today's serious review. Okay.
Of course, of course, it's based on Jit Murad's play. I watched the play. Look, so the context is this film was done 11 years ago, but never got past censorship until finally they pursued it again, and then now it's out lah, isn't it? So this group, right? I used to go and watch plays a lot during this time lah. 2000, 2001, 2002. I went with Apan, and we used to go and watch it a lot. And this was a time when I also felt like, oh, maybe I could lah start making films all. It was being surrounded with this group of people lah. You know, so it was nice to see the film coming out. You know, it's nice to see all these people who have aged, who some of them I regularly still see, who of course are 11 years older than what they look like on the screen. So yeah, what was this all about? The movie.
Okay, so the film is basically, it centers around Bapa, who's played by
Rahim Razali.
Rahim Razali.
Veteran.
We're supposed to do
Datuk
this
Rahim
together.
Razali.
I'm trying to get you involved. Anyway.
Sure, because she doesn't know who
Because we're
Rahim
being all
Razali
serious
is.
about it. I know lah, okay, anyway. So it centers around Rahim Razali and his 5 children, okay? So he's got 5 children. The oldest one is Zach, played by Sean. And then the second one is Bernice Shawley, who's Kalsom, who's so Zach is like some messed up drug pusher lah. And he's grown up to be a messed up drug pusher, and he's like half Sarani or something. So his mother like a bit Matsali looking, so that's why he also Matsali looking. They all have different mothers, so we're gonna go through this one by one. And then there's Kalsom, who's played by Bernice Shawley. Her mother is Melayu, and the oldest. And then there is Husni. No, there's Darwis. And then there
Darwish
is
played by Naa Murad.
Murad, who's an English lecturer and who seems to be the most filial amongst all of them because he lives with the father, you know. And he's
After
also
his divorce, after his divorce, he moves
lives
back
with his father.
and lives
But
with
actually,
his
we don't know
father.
whether when he was married, were they living with the father?
No,
also?
they said what? He moved back.
Okay. So then
to stay with the father and Concepcion.
and Concepcion, who's the helper. And then there's Husni, who is the most successful and the most handsome, but is also he is Sean Ghazi. Sorry, he is Sean Ghazi, and he is also gay. And then there is the youngest one, who is Zaitun, and Zaitun is like has grown up to be a trophy wife
Zaitun is Juliana. It's Juliana Ibrahim, and Juliana Ibrahim and I go way back. We used to work together.
How way back is this now?
Maybe about 15 years ago, when I think I've directed her before. Yeah, she's directed.
Is that all you've
acted.
done?
Yes, lah. Please,
You never know with Zan Azli, okay? You just never know. It's very...
Juliana, if you're watching this, please ignore her.
It's nothing to do with Juliana. It's everything to do with you.
What? No, she's happily married with, in Europe.
Yeah, but this was like 11 years ago.
I hope you're doing well.
You were young, single-ish. Anyway. Okay, so it centers around the 5 children, and now Bapa wants them all to come for dinner. He's like, I don't know lah, reaching the end of his life or whatever. You know, when parents, they get older, they start to reflect on their life. So basically this is what it is. He's reflecting on his life and how things used to be, and how he loved all his 4 wives. 3 wives, 4 wives.
He had 5 wives, but the eldest, the first one died. Zach's mother lah.
Yeah. So then after that he had 4 wives lah.
They all live together in the same house.
They all live together in the same house. So yeah. So then so each child different wife. Okay, to make it clear. And then but it turns out he's gonna die. So he's gonna die, and he sees the malaikats, I guess, and he realizes he has no time.
Played by Haris Iskandar and Jit Murad.
Yeah, so he pushes the dinner forward, and then so it basically centers around that lah. He's trying to get everybody together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do we think about the film?
Everyone, for context lah, right? Everyone in the urban of KL who has known Jit or who has been around like you, they've all been talking about this film on social media, right? They're like, it's a limited screening, you have to go see it. Some people went to watch it multiple times. Some people are saying it's the quintessential Malaysian film because everything about Malaysia is in this film, and everybody wants that you will cry when you watch it. So spoiler, we cried when we watched it lah. I wouldn't call it a quintessentially Malaysian film. I would call it a quintessentially
Klang Valley
urban Malaysian film.
Klang Valley, you born in KL, raised in PJ kind of film.
Yeah. But I don't think there's anything wrong with there being a quintessentially urban Malaysian film like this, because there are so many quintessentially rural Malaysian films. Not necessarily represented well, but they do make a lot of films for the rural masses rather than for the urban masses in Malaysia lah. Okay, that's how I feel.
Yeah,
about
but then
this.
it's based on a play, and plays are for this kind of plays.
Yeah, so fine.
Are focused on the urban crowd.
Never mind.
You know? Yeah.
So what I really liked about it, number one, was that we have seen and also reviewed a few of these play turned films, and our biggest problem so far is that it has been like a play or has been presented like a play. There was that Singaporean one with Adibano, and then there was also the Mencari Rahmat, and then now this one. But this one I felt was more like a film than a play. It didn't, at no point other than the dialogue did it feel to me like I was watching a play. Yeah, so it was just that the dialogue was not very adapted for screen. But I thought that it was funny that they also poked fun at that when Bernice Chorley is having her auditions, and then who's the one that plays the Chinese girl? Her face is very familiar.
Bernie Chan.
So she says that if they're lovers, right, why would she talk to him like this? And then she decides to like improvise and ad-lib it. And I thought that was really poking fun at how the entire thing was like, why would you talk to your family members?
They did a lot of that lah, poking fun internally of the film, like the censorship thing, right?
Yeah, which is kind of great. I really enjoyed that.
The censorship thing when they talked about being gay and all that, or drag, going to a drag show and all that. Tak apa, sebab ni watak-watak yang dicipta secara fiction yang tidak berdasarkan mana-mana yang betul, you know.
And then and then in true urban Malaysian culture, they're like, tapi Melayu tak boleh minum kan? And you know,
Melayu tak boleh minum,
like
ni adalah watak yang direka semata-mata.
So it was
What happened? Okay.
It really hit a kind of personal note for me.
Go on.
Seriously. Okay.
I do this all the time.
Yeah.
And then? What? We have to adjust because it was getting dark.
Da.
Yeah, now it's okay.
Okay, da.
Yeah.
So it really hit a very personal note for me because I come from a polygamous family, not as harmonious as what was depicted in the what, if it was even harmonious lah, because we don't know, right? But I think to some extent I see my father's attempts at these redemptions, and I kind of saw that in the way that it was portrayed on screen, and the way his different children react to him, I've also kind of seen in real life, in maybe a little bit in myself and also in my siblings. And you don't want to fault your father for the mistakes that he's made, or the choices lah, not really mistakes lah, because they don't see it as mistakes, but the choices that they've made. But you also, as children, you are also the ones living the consequences of it. And there is, on some level, whether big or small, some resentment. We see it in all five of them. Fear of disappointment, actual resentment of like, but why were you like this? You know, why did you always treat me different? Or why did you not treat me different? You know, and you live the consequences lah as a children for whatever your father has chosen to do. And I think that in the end was what made it so sad for me, just watching the desperation of the father to try to get all his children together, and you know, whether failing or succeeding, and it just really made me feel really, really like sad lah. And then in the end, all the children kind of wonder like, did they do enough? Did they not do enough? Is it too late? Is it not too late? And you're left with all of these conflicting like thoughts as you grapple with your grief, and it was just very real to me. So that was the parts that kind of made me cry. But I think, I don't know, I want to say that it's a not really discussed reality of maybe middle to upper middle class Malay or Malaysian families, where, you know, your father chooses to marry someone else, or your parents get divorced, and then you end up in this weird cluster of blended families. And if you're lucky, your parents will handle it well and amicably, like supposedly in this film. But if you're not, then you end up with a lot of familial trauma and damage. And this is not something that is generally explored well in Malaysian films. So it was nice to sort of see that. And it was also nice that the polygamy, while a big part of the film, was not the forefront of the entire film. The forefront of the entire film was really just about an elderly man trying to get all his children together and, I don't know, redeem himself with them before it was too late. And it was just such a pure intention, which kind of made the story even better lah for me. So yeah.
Yeah. I didn't like the dialogue. The dialogue was so play-ish, theatre-ish. But that was the only thing I didn't like lah. The whole story was very nice. It was shot very nicely. It was directed very nicely. Performances, because of the dialogue and because I think the way it was directed, mainly like a play, performances wasn't really outstanding, but it didn't matter. It really didn't matter. The best performance was Rahim Razali lah. I felt that listening to him talk, listening to him act, I forgot how good an actor he is. You know, and it was so good. This film had all the issues discussed in the film, right? All the issues that were brought up in the film were so 15 years ago. 15 years ago, every short film dealt with these issues. We want to talk about these issues. Was shot in this kind of way also. You know, all these indie films and plays. Plays also, all the theatre plays that were being performed were discussing the same issues and all that. So if this film had come out then, it would just fit right in with the bandwagon. But done very well, of course. And coming out now, for me, when I watch it, it brings me back. Oh, yes, it's so obvious this film was made 11 years ago. You know, not made now. Memang confirm not made now.
Oh, you mean it wasn't the BlackBerry that gave it away? Like
Everything
all
gave
the
it away.
Blackberries.
Everything gave it away, right? The flip phones,
BlackBerry.
you know, the
SMS them.
SMS and MMS and all that, you know. It made me feel that way lah. So out of all the nostalgic movies that we've been watching, like Top Gun lah and Jurassic World and all that, right? Jeff Goldblum and Maverick and all that, this played into the whole theme of this last month or so watching being nostalgic for me. But if you want to talk about the quintessential, people keep on harping about making the great Malaysian film, like writing the great Malaysian novel. It's bullshit lah. People still strive for that lah. I think our National Film Board still strives for that. But I think cannot. Where can? Society and community now is so segmentized that you can never have one representation of all.
Yeah.
So cannot. With that being said, this is so urban. Bloody orang KL boleh faham. Orang KL je boleh faham.
No lah.
Orang KL.
PJ people also can faham.
Well, when you say orang KL, it means PJ Shah Alam also lah. Okay. PJ Shah Alam Damansara.
Shah Alam depends lah. Maybe cannot.
So, that's
I said maybe,
looking down on them.
I said maybe.
That's looking down. So, I'm not here. I'm not saying that whether it's urban or rural means better or not better, but it definitely does not represent the whole of Malaysia lah. It represents a small percentage of that urban crowd lah. Even the urban crowd also, it represents only a very privileged urban crowd. You know, one of the earliest shot is all these books about Mahathir.
Yes,
Right, Mahathir, BN, UMNO. So it's underlying what is already about Malay privilege. And how else can you be a privileged Malay man who can afford to marry 5 wives and live in a huge bungalow at that time? There is a scene in this movie where he says that, during this time, Rahim Razali, during this time, there were only about 200 Malay families worth knowing. You know, so it reeks about Malay privilege.
Yep.
Right? So, and I know it's the intention of the filmmakers also to raise this issue in a very subtextual way. Right?
No wonder lah, it took 11 years.
Yeah. But it was good, right? I thought it was really good, and the fact that the cast, right, consisted of so many different types of people, yet come from one family. I know they are sired by a Malay guy, right, in the story, but the cast, they are like mixed. Some of them not even Malay, if you want to consider them. So it's very Malaysian in that sense,
Yeah,
right?
I think that was the point.
Yeah, of course, yeah, and it was great.
He brings up this thing at the end where he says he only does certain things with each of his children because each of his
That's
children
unique
are
for them,
unique. So he says, he asks them like,
Who's your
who
favorite?
do you think is my favorite? And they each say like, I am your favorite because whatever.
And he said that's the duty of the father.
The duty of the father is to make you feel like the favorite, except for this one son. And he was like, he says like, this one Fleur never got to feel that. So like that lah.
We like this film, so we don't do spoilers. We only spoil films we don't like.
But oh my god lah, it was too much feelings lah for me. Just way too much.
For me, now I did not grow up in a polygamous family. You know, I am not polygamous.
I should hope not.
No, what are we?
We are still quite blended, but
we are blended, but we're not polygamous lah, right? And that thing didn't really relate to me, like how it related to you. But I felt the family issue, the thing about family, right? The being part of a family, being a father who is growing older and seeing his children get older, you know, and just as a father maturing, that got to me.
No, it was really also about how each child had like a thing, like a unique thing, you know. And I think to be a parent is to really be able to recognize that each of your children are still different and have different needs, which is something we as parents also like struggle with. And I think in some ways my father also kind of didn't struggle with, because he had specific things that he did with some of us and specific things that he did with all of us or whatever. But in some ways I think he tried. And but maybe not all of us see that, you know. And it was just a lot. It was a lot. And you know, if despite the fact that it was made 11 years ago, and 11 years ago it was just kind of following the trend, now in 2022, so much of this film is still unfortunately irrelevant. Trans people are still being discriminated. Muslims who drink are still having to do it in the shadows or whatever. You know, there are still polygamous families out there, and it's still being discussed. There are still maybe less than 200 families worth knowing in KL or whatever. But we wouldn't know because we are like very sampah Melayu, right?
Speak for yourself.
Your parents maybe lah. I don't know.
But no, when I say they are part of the bandwagon, I don't think they're. Yes, they were part of. Everybody was doing it. But they started it. This group of people, they were the ones they were the trendsetters, and they were just continuing the same trend that they started. Yeah, they were the pioneers. You know.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for this group of people, I don't think I would have been able to visualize a career making films as well. You know, so it was great. And maybe it was, I don't know. You know, Jit Murad passed away early this year, right? Do you think it would have been nice if he was able to see the film?
I think he might have.
I mean, I'm sure, of course, you've seen it lah. But would it have liked to? Like, would it be nice if you saw the release?
Revered for it.
Yeah.
I mean, he is being revered for it now. But
it's good. It's very good. It's a good film.
Really good.
I would say it's one of the best films I've seen this year.
Really good.
Yeah. But the thing is, it was released on the 9th of June. We rushed to watch it
on the 16th of June.
Yeah, if you're watching it now, right? This video is released. We watched it 2 days ago because we rushed because we thought it was going to end already, limited release. And we rushed and we thought we got the last day screen. But actually, I checked. It's still playing. Today it's still playing.
There are only 2 cinemas playing it now. It's TGV KLCC and Glow 3 Damansara. So
I would
please go and watch it.
Yeah. So I would say go watch it.
Go watch it.
But I really think that not a large crowd in Malaysia would really be able to enjoy, appreciate, or relate to it. I wouldn't say, and I'm not saying this in a way that that they're not good enough to appreciate. No, it's just not relatable to a big crowd, a big part of Malaysian society.
Yeah, so to the niche crowd of you that are always bitching about the fact that Malaysian films don't represent you, you cannot relate to it, it's just all about mat rempits and pontianaks and whatever, you better bloody be in the cinema to watch this damn film because this was the film that was made for you.
Yeah,
so
you urban
bloody go
town Damansara
and watch it, okay? Don't give us this shit about how Malaysia doesn't make films for you, and then the Malaysian film that is made specifically for you comes out and you're like, oh, never mind lah, no need lah. Slap you, huh?
But you know what's annoying when we were in the cinema, right? It wasn't packed, right? There were some people there, but it wasn't very packed, lah. I would say less than a quarter of the cinema was filled, lah. The hall, right? And you know some of the laughters that you would get from the scenes in the film, it just, I don't know if it's nice or not nice for me to say, it annoyed me. Because it annoyed me because it's so obvious that the audience that was laughing at it is an urban crowd laughing at an urban joke that only relates to urban Malaysian people.
Well, wasn't that the point?
I know, but that's what annoyed me.
Why? You are also an urban person.
Yeah, yes, I understand. But urban enough to want to also discover other things. You know what I mean? So it annoyed me because this, like when you say these people who always complain about films, always make these films that are for Pontianak lah, mat rempits lah and all that. To me, it represents that. You know, they would shun and criticize any movie that doesn't represent them, and then really like, finally, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's the point.
Yeah. So can I be annoyed by that?
Can.
You're saying like as if it's wrong.
No, I'm just like,
for me to say
that's
that.
the point.
Yeah, but no, because it's this group. They want to think that they're so open and liberal. But when you're just considering the liberal point of view and not considering other perspectives, not really that liberal as well.
I think what it is that annoys you, and correct me if I'm wrong, is just the fact that they feel better than the Pontianaks and the Spits.
Yes.
I don't agree with racist films or the films that depict rape and the ones where they like really severely abuse women. Those are memang shit films. But I'm really quite okay with the satirical hantu kat lima films that won't appeal to the urban crowd, but are still quite entertaining. I'm still okay with things like Jagat, and films that are not necessarily catered to, like you said, like the urban KLPG crowd, but have good stories, you know. So I get it, you know.
Yeah.
Just always looking down on
because they look
all
down
these,
they look down on the
mass
other types
films,
of films. They are targeting other types of audience and
Yeah.
looking down on the other type of audience. Because I think if you're targeting a certain audience, it's valid.
Yeah,
It's legit.
okay.
Just like how this is going to target the Damansara Heights and Taman Pun Bangsa
Bangsa
crowd,
bubble.
right? Yeah, you know, and the Jalan Yutan crowd. Yeah. But with that being said, this Damansara Heights and Jalan Yutan, Uptown, Taman Tun crowd, Bangsa crowd, also will want to appreciate films like Jagat, want to appreciate films like Hantu Kat Lima because, oh, it's so satirical.
Art.
Yeah. I see the different layers in the film, you know. Are we making enemies from this film?
I know.
We make enemies.
We
all
have a
the
lot
time,
of friends in Bangsa. Every time we go to Bangsa, we bump into someone.
Well, I grew up in Bangsa.
Okay, anyway. So watch this film. 2 cinemas, very limited screenings.
It's good lah.
Get on your app now and book the ticket.
Yeah, and I want to also say, right, look, even to all of you who are not the urban crowd and who are really into Munafik and all that, give it a chance. You know, I really am. I'm serious.
Tapi kalau tak tengok film ni tak berdosa lah. Tak
I
macam kalau tak tengok Munafik kan.
I really resisted speaking Malay when I was referring to this. I really resisted speaking Malay, right? But no, who knows? If you're a film lover, let's say this lah. If you like films, it doesn't matter where you're from, what background you are from, you know, which community, society, or whatever. I think you can appreciate all kinds of films lah. You know, because, yeah.
And in saying that, the director of Munafik has a new film coming out next week.
Yeah,
So
and we want to watch that.
Stay tuned for that.
Yeah, because we really want to watch that.
We do, because Bito Kushari is in it.
Yeah, and it looks, from the trailer, it looks kind of nice, right? And
Because Bito Kushari is in
yeah,
it.
and we don't really like a lot of this director's work, but
we like Bito Kushari.
Yeah, and like I said, we'll watch it lah. We'll watch it.
Yes, because we are
Even
fair.
even we
and
want to shit on it, we need to watch it.
We review all films fairly.
Okay, so
and we don't live in an urban bubble.
yeah, so we had a film ready to be a review for this week, but we were pushing it to next week because we wanted to get this out first, Spilt Gravy out first lah. Right, so that.
So please go watch it
Yeah.
again. Alright, thank you.
Okay, so follow us on all our social media platforms at FatBidin or go to fatbidin.com to get everything. You've been watching and listening to the Fat Bidin Film Club. I'm assuming I'm Zan Azli.
And I'm Syah Ustaman.